Hello BookTube, I'm Peg and welcome to my channel. First of all, I want to extend a special welcome to some new viewers I've picked up from the Mookse and Gripes forum on BookTube. Now, if you're not familiar with that, it's one of the forums there on BookTube. Not BookTube, Goodreads, I'm sorry. Okay, Goodreads. This is BookTube. Okay, Goodreads. Anyway, it's one of the forums on Goodreads. Sometimes I think people don't use the forums as much as the book the way to delineate their books that they've read. But this is just a fantastic forum, especially for me, because it's one of the most literary forums on Goodreads, and it deals almost all with the different book prizes and discussions of the different book prizes. And as you know, I consider myself the book prize addict. Actually, I even tried to change my BookTube name to Book Prize Addict, and they wouldn't let me. I have to wait a certain amount of time, but we know what I am, right? Okay, anyway, so this is the perfect forum for me, and just recently I've started putting some of my book review videos that I've done here on BookTube on the forum, and wanting to have a part of the conversation. Though I've never been good at writing what I think about books, it just seems like work, and they've been most receptive and welcoming to my BookTube views of the books they're talking about. So that's made it a lot of fun. Anyway, I've put a link to the thread that deals with the Republic of Consciousness Prize, which is what I'm talking about this month. And on it, actually, I want to point out two people. The Mookse and Gripes himself is a pen name for Trevor. He's a longtime blogger. His blog is also called Mookse and Gripes. Now, Mookse and Gripes comes from a term in Finnegan's Wake, so it's a very literary term. And I discovered his blog years ago. He was one of the first I found that discussed or had a forum to talk about book prizes, which I've followed for probably 30 years. I started when I was just a baby, of course. Anyway, but I was so glad when the web came about and I was able to find his forum that he had discussing. There were only like two main book prizes then, the Booker and the National Book Award, but it was tremendously exciting to have a place to discuss them and find other people that like to talk about them. Anyway, so as the years went on and the web changed, Trevor actually put his namesake and his site on the book reads. And at this point, I think he's doing other things. I've also linked his blog, which is excellent. He reviews films. He does short stories from the New Yorker. It's just good. So take a look at that. Now, the blog post I've linked to just happens to be where yesterday's or the day before, when he announced a new book prize that's just come out called the 2018 PEN, PEN all caps, translation prize. It has other prizes in it, but that's the one I'll be following. So I'm excited about that, and I've already ordered some of the books. You can see that in his blog post that I have below. Okay, back to the subject. Okay, so as I said, he's turned over most of the moderation duties of the Goodreads forum of Mookse and Gripes to Paul Fulker, I believe his last name is. And Paul is just amazing. That man has read every literary book that has come out. Certainly every book on the book prize list. He moderates all the different book prize forums and writes fantastic reviews of each of them. So anyway, I tried to link his review that he has written to the book I'm going to talk about today, if I can stop talking about other stuff. And it's called We That Are Young. It's on the Republic of Consciousness list, which I'm in the process of reading through. Actually, there are 3 or 4 reviews of this on the on Goodreads, which I try to link, but somehow I have a problem linking Goodreads things. And it's by one of them's by Paul and 2 or 3 other people that participate in this forum on the Mookse and Gripes. And I know at least Paul is an actual judge on this prize, and I suspect a couple of the others at least are, because they seem to have already read all these books, and the prize was just announced. I mean, the list was just announced. Now there's a lot of people in there who haven't read them all and are in the process of reading and talking about them. So I encourage you, if you're at all interested in this, to look through this forum and see the different prizes. I'll be alerting you when the different prizes are starting to be discussed this year. Okay, so let's talk about this book a little bit. This is a fantastic book. It was, first of all, I'll just review the rules of the Republic of Consciousness Prize. It's a prize to small publishers, and they have to have 5 or less full-time employees. So they're quite small. And the founder, Neil Griffiths, who has just had his own book come out, and Curtis of Curtis Books and Films got it gifted to him yesterday on his video. Way to go, Curtis. Okay, anyway, Neil has said that the rules or what they're looking for in this prize, which just started last year, are, I forgot the word, the very most literary type writing and gorgeous prose. And they all really have. It has been so fun to read these because they're all so different and fun. Anyway, this one is, most of them are kind of small, but that doesn't mean they're simple to read. But this one actually is quite a chunker. It's 550 pages, We That Are Young. And I love it. It takes place in India. I love books that are set in India. And it's just really great. It's a contemporary story of a billionaire and his follower on, and his family and his life, and the drama therein. But it's got some high drama, but it's done in a very literary way and has some really excellent scenes. Now, this is based actually on the King Lear story. Now, I know a lot of you on BookTube have recently read, I think King Lear was part of your Shakespeare-a-thon or whatever it was, and it would certainly be more meaningful to you. I haven't read it in quite a while, but Paul, in his review of this on Goodreads, talks about the connection to King Lear and actually points out the relative people and who they match in the King Lear story, and some of the themes that go on. And must say she does a great job of sticking to the King Lear story, but making her own dramatic story. Now, there's no way I can even tell you anything about the story, but I have to say it is so immersive for me. I am just spellbound by this story of these very super rich people and their lives. It's not all about them. You can see the very poor, the poverty, also in India, but through kind of an air-conditioned limousine window as we drive by. Let's see. I picked out a few images. I love when I'm reading about a foreign country to look up images that I'm not familiar with that are referred to in it, and I've done so in this. Now, I have to say, one of the themes of the story is that this billionaire has made all his money through some rather unsavory ways. That's gone into, and that's part of the story in some way. So I'm going to show you some some scenes. There's some wonderful scenes, but I'm going to just show you a few images that remind me of some of the excellent scenes I've seen. Okay, this is of a peacock. Now, this family has what they call the farm. It's a compound near Delhi where they own lots of acres and have all kind of buildings and homes and the very best of everything, and pools and golf courses and whatever. Anyway, and they have peacocks running around loose, and I suppose they have a peacock boy who takes care of them and cleans up after them, and so that the people who live there can just enjoy the beautiful peacocks. And there's this horrific scene where one of the daughters comes home and finds dead peacocks everywhere. Now, this has actually happened, and when I was looking up the image of the peacocks, it showed a situation which happened in India where there was a mysterious death of 20 or 50 or whatever peacocks, and it showed that picture, that image, but I didn't want to show that on you. But anyway, so I won't go into it, but there is this huge peacock scene and that happens that's very effective, I guess you might say. And another theme that came up a lot was one of their businesses. They have several businesses, as I guess most billionaires do. One of them is really exotic hotels in different cities in India. Another one is this shawl business, which we're not really used to shawls, but that's a big thing there. And shawls, depends on what they're made out of. If theirs that they make are like super expensive. We're talking thousands of dollars because they are made out of a certain kind of wool from what they call a shrew. And this is a kind of a, I guess, antelope type creature, and lives in Tibet. And it's strictly illegal to deal in this kind of fur because these animals are completely endangered, are really endangered. And to get their fur or wool or whatever it is, they have to be killed. And so, of course, it's really illegal to trade with this kind of shawl or anything. But this family somehow manages to get around that, and they have shawls galore that are, I mean, each one is thousands of dollars. And actually, after they get the illegal wool, it's hand woven by many women and takes, I guess, a year to make. So that's kind of the conspicuous consumption of these people, that they just treat these shawls like old rags. Anyway, and actually there's a game that the children, when the people were children, they play called Kill the Shrew, where they practice hunting them and killing him and stripping the wood. It's just, anyway. So one other scene that I've just read, actually I'm only about halfway through this book, but I wanted to go ahead and talk about it, takes place at one of their fancy exotic hotels in Amritsar, which is a city in the northwest of India, about 250 miles from Delhi, which they get to on their private jet. And there's this huge scene in this extra fancy hotel that has the gold-plated bidets and other things that are just unimaginable. And one of the things that it mentions, I'm not sure that the hotel is an actual thing, but it does look down on the Golden Temple there in Amritsar. This is a terrible image, I know, but this is an actual temple that is actually plated with many kilograms of gold plate. So only in India. And you can imagine how much it takes to be in a hotel that looks down on this, which theirs is. There's a fantastic, I mean, not in a crazy way, scene that takes place in this hotel where just about all the characters come together, and I was just glued to this book. In fact, I still have about half of it to read, and I really suspect that tomorrow I'll be so glued to this book I won't be able to look at my new Christmas books, which I know I'm going to lag because I picked them out myself. But anyway, whatever. So I would certainly, I'll put it up again, recommend anybody that wants to to be completely immersed in a wonderful book, to take a look at this. I will say also it's of course, uh, not many copies were printed. It is on sale on Amazon, but um, the head of the forum, who did I say? Paul, in his wonderful, thorough review of this book, said he thinks it should have been on the Man Booker list instead of another one that was, you probably know what that was written by an Indian author. So I expect to see big things from this book, and hopefully it'll get a reprint with a beautiful cover that it deserves. Okay, have a good day tomorrow, and thanks for listening. Bye.